Hello and welcome back to another episode of Meet the Contractor. I'm Glenn, a member of the technical team here at Quelfire, and I'm joined today by Joe Hewitt from TBL. Thanks for joining us, Joe. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So, I'm Joe from TBL Fire Protection. TBL's been going now for, I think, it's over 11 years. We started off in a garage, Steve's garage, the CEO, and then we've just progressed really, just within the industry as it's grown. Obviously, Grenfell obviously really pushed that, and we could see obviously the market and how much work was required. So it's gone from strength to strength. So from going from maybe 3 or 4 of us working out at Steve's garage, we're now in a rented warehouse and offices. We've got 21 office staff, and I think we're up to 65 operatives out on site. All aspects of passive fire protection, from new builds within care homes, schools, hospitals, and then obviously a lot of retrofitting, trying to get back in where obviously historic buildings, trying to build them up to scratch, which can be quite interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. Have you got any sort of particular projects that you prefer working on, or what sort of projects do you normally work on? What's the bulk of what you do?
The bulk of our work generally is, I'd say, obviously we apply intumescent coatings as well. So we do a lot of work within warehouses and big units, which generally have minimal fire stopping because you generally only have your small office area.
Yeah.
So obviously my passion is with fire bat and passive fire protection side of things. So generally, I like to work in the new builds with the schools and the hospitals, care homes. That's really what I really strive for.
Sure, doing the penetration.
Yeah, the penetration seals, getting in early, speaking with the guys, getting it ironed out with M&E, early doors, and really getting in there and, running the job smoothly. But at the same time, the historic buildings or buildings that aren't adequate enough are really good, because I think to try and apply these current standards and tested details when buildings were constructed with no thought of fire protection, it brings up a lot of challenges, but it keeps you on your toes and it really opens your eyes to how far the industry's come.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's brilliant. So what sets TBL apart in the fire stopping industry? Obviously, we know there's a lot of companies out there. TBL, right up there.
I think for us, transparency from the beginning, to allow people to understand what we can offer and what we can do and what we can't do, because obviously there is limitations. I think we really strive for early engagement. We've seen such a massive difference with our clients that have bought into it, how easily, and not easily, because there is always going to be the non-tested details as such, or, a complication. But for us, getting in early and educating and learning with our clients, along with their M&E contractors, that's really where we really strive. We really try and get in as early as we can and explain the importance of what we do and why we do it, and ensure that everyone understands.
Sure, yeah. So you very much focused on the strategy, the process, rather than just being someone who goes in with a tube of sealant and a bag.
Yes, don't be wrong. Obviously, you can win your projects by certain prices. I understand that. But for us, it's ensuring that we are compliant, we are competitive, and ensuring that, what we say we do, and ensure it is. So they've got no concerns at the end of a project that we've tried to cut corners.
Yeah.
It's really important to us. Yeah.
No, that's excellent. I think that transparency, the word you mentioned there, is brilliant, and certainly what's needed.
There's so many people involved now, especially, you've got building control, you've got independent inspectors. We're not trying to hide anything. It's not, it's there. So that upfront meeting, discussions early on, ensuring that, people that are going to be responsible for signing it off, whether it be building control or the fire officer, they're clearly aware of what we're doing, how we're recording it, ensuring that, we're competent installers, we've got the right certification, we're FireAS accredited. So it's really, just like you say, ensuring people what we say we do, we follow through.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. What do you personally enjoy most about working in the construction industry?
For me, I think more so now, especially being involved with the early engagement, is seeing something come from drawings on a computer or on a piece of paper in front of you, to watch it grow and watch it come to life and know that what you've done is going to make a difference. I think that's really important. It's really important to TBL to know that what we're doing, it's going to save lives, it's going to save buildings. That's really, really what we've strived to achieve.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that's good. Very satisfying, I guess.
Yeah, it really is.
See it get done right.
And then, to go back after some contracts are 12-month return for defects or 24 months, to go back after that period of time and see that your work's still at the standard it needs to be, it is really just an extra cable's gone in and it needs repairing. So yeah, I really enjoy that.
Brilliant. Yeah, excellent. In terms of, obviously, we've covered a lot in the industry. You've mentioned a bit about early engagement and that sort of thing, getting involved at the early stages. Um, I think that links into the next question in terms of positive changes. What positive changes do you think are happening currently in the industry?
Massively, I think from a fire protection point of view, it's how serious. I wouldn't say serious. I think it's always been, obviously it's always been a serious issue, but how important it is to get it right the first time, and the costs it can incur if it's not done at the right time. So again, that's why I say that early engagement. You can sit around the table, but you need all the parties involved, because I think with fire protection, we're the only sort of guys, we interface with nigh on every trade on site. Every trade. It's not just, we're a bricklayer and we'll leave a window opening. We're working with the bricklayers or dry liners, the electricians, the car, everyone. We work interface with everyone. So it's ensuring that what we do, again, works with them as well. It's got to be for the follow-on trade. It's got to be right. It's got to be compliant. We've all got limitations and regulations we have to adhere to, but it's ensuring that we can all work together. And like I say, if you get around that table early enough, you can have these issues ironed out. And again, you need the experience from the other trades, because I'm not an expert in installing pipe work or cable trays, whereas, you need that information from them guys to ensure that what we need to achieve is achievable with everyone.
Yeah, sure. And that is certainly happening more, isn't it?
Throughout, I think, all big contractors, and I think it filters down. Obviously, there's a lot from, obviously, within legislation, things have to be followed, but I think main contractors now are taking the onus and understanding it's imperative, it's right, and it's right from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Have you got any particular recent success story or project you'd like to share?
The one that really springs to mind was it was a student accommodation building, and it was a live building, and it was found that there was very minimal fire protection, if not any, installed. Unfortunately, due to the students, even in the summer holidays, there was still populated building. It was live, but there was 113 studio apartments over 9 floors. So there was a really, really big push on programming. It was so tight, there wasn't room for error. So it was literally, it was really good, because obviously you had the support from the main contractor and from the university. So they ensured that we got everyone onto one floor, and then that's how we processed it. So we clear a floor at a time, from literally rip the ceilings down, fire protection, reinstate ceilings, decorate, students back in, and move to the next floor. It was brilliant, and we had a third-party inspector on the project, because obviously there were certain things where, it was inherited. We weren't moving pipes, we couldn't move ductwork. So it was ensuring then anything we come across that we couldn't identify, because from the start of the project, we sort of had a sample flap, and we used it as like a worst-case scenario. But it's no, you start taking down ceilings, it's like a can of worms. So to have that on site, so it was such a quick turnaround, because we didn't have the time to wait for going out to various people.
Brilliant. No, that's excellent. I think just a good example there of, obviously, a project from a scheduling point of view that worked very well, went to program and everything, but also those you mentioned about all those parties working together.
You can't do it alone, and no trade works alone. We wouldn't finish buildings if we were,
Yeah.
it's a combination of everyone together, ensuring we're all trying to achieve the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's excellent. So, sort of slightly in contrast to that, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a contractor?
I think there's a bit of a myth that fire bat solves everything. We can sort of build a wall, we can't quite finish it, we can't do it. It's okay, they'll stop it, it's fine. We have limitations and tested details. So again, the biggest one is, if you haven't had that chance of early engagement, it's the challenges you're going to face, because 𝘭𝑠's already been installed. So, if the spacings aren't right, you are then, you're up against it. It is a struggle. I think the other side is, again, as much you can do a lot of the work, but if you do have a rogue, I'm not going to say what trade, but decides to go against what has been set out from the start of the project with the early engagement, it changes everything. The detail, you've designed builders work holes with the contractor. I've checked with Quelfire the spacings are correct, and then all of a sudden someone decides just to core a hole through, and it's, it changes everything then. So yeah,
In that sense, the challenge there is not just from your perspective at TBL as the fire stopping contractor not being able to do what you're supposed to do, but it becomes much bigger then, doesn't it, in terms of cost implication?
And then, you have to justify that, and it's a cost of, well, the pipe's been installed now, or the cable, it needs to be rerouted. So
Yeah.
someone's got to pay for that.
Yeah.
The wall's been damaged, it needs to be reinstated. Again, if it changes the fire stopping because again, with the early engagement, it's not just a point of ensuring from compliance and safety. We do it as a cost assurance for our clients to ensure, if this builder's work whole schedule is correct and these services are of what you've told us, this is what your costs will be. And then obviously it's very easy to identify where the costs can change because it will come off your schedule and you can see. But yeah, I think the big one still is just getting everybody on board and buying into it. It's only a bit of fibre, it doesn't matter. It's only a hole, I can do that. I'll run my cable through with a damper. Well, you can't. And and it's, so again, I think it's education throughout, but I think it's definitely being expressed from the main contractors down, and even within M&E contractors, obviously coming to work and running pipe work and then being told the next day you've got to reroute it must be very deflating, as it is when you install a fire back, you come back the next day and there's a load more cables through it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just that understanding and just constant working together, trying to achieve compliance together.
Yeah, sure. And it certainly is working, isn't it? Trades like you mentioned, M&E, a lot of those companies are beginning to understand and open to change.
Very much so, very much so. And I think, like you say, it's the onus has to be, again, it's not just on the fire protection. It's if you are penetrating a firewall, you have a responsibility to ensure, what you're doing is right.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. In terms of obviously you installing fire stopping, assuming everything before that is right, how do you ultimately ensure compliance with the latest regulations?
Obviously, with compliance, again, obviously we try from the start, obviously, it is an assigned, it's a tested detail. All of our operatives are obviously under constant training. We do CPDs in-house. We get main manufacturers to come out, do CPDs within our warehouse to ensure the lads are growing. Again, following up, LinkedIn's great to follow, to see, it's a quite quick access. You can see it, you can read it, it's there. You get a lot of different opinions on it. Being involved with the ASFP is massive, obviously, to ensure we're keeping up. And just constantly just striving just to keep up with the latest details. It's constant.
Yeah, no, that's good. So yeah, you mentioned social media there. Obviously, there is a lot of information that gets put out there. And yeah, in terms of changes that come through, there's a lot of potentially misinformation there as well. How do you sort of ensure that you're getting the right information from the right source?
Again, I think through obviously our accreditation with FireRAS, that's important. Obviously, we're audited, so we ensure that's we're compliant with them guys. Obviously, we work very closely with you guys and trust your details.
You mentioned the ASFP as well, obviously an industry organisation. They put on a lot of seminars and things.
Really at the forefront for training to ensure people understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I think that's really massive.
Yeah, you mentioned the AGM just before as well, so you're getting insight there from
so I attended the AGM in London. It was really insightful, but to know that within we're at the forefront within government, it's not going away. It's imperative this gets right. You can't put a cost on it. It's not going to be okay. They've learned so much, and it's not going away from we go back to Grenfell, but it took something like that to people to understand how important what we do is to save lives, to save buildings. So yeah, it's really interesting. And again, from the ASFP, they're striving all the time. They're up and down the country. They're banging the drum. People need to understand,
and they're helping to explain and going back to that point about ensuring compliance. The likes of yourselves at TBL and anyone else,
to be a part of them, there's certain rules you have to follow. There's certain things you have to assure you're adhering to. I think it's very good. I think the best with ASFP as well, I think what they strive, and I think it's within the industry, there isn't a tested detail for everything. So best guidance sometimes does have to be followed, which can be difficult with building control. But with the ASFP's backing, you stand a good chance, because at the end of the day, not everything is tested. We need engineers' judgments.
Yeah, no, that's good. I guess that from what you're saying, it's getting that cross section from everyone, isn't it? The manufacturer, industry, regulatory bodies, like you in terms of your third party accreditation, and everyone is ultimately involved, aren't they, to ensure that compliance is achieved. Are there any misconceptions around fire stopping you'd like to clear up?
Again, fireback, it's not magical material. Well, it is for what it does. It is a magical material, but you know, we have limitations. It's tested. There's spacing requirements. We have to ensure, again, depending on the wall manufacturer, they have their limits on what we can and can't do. So I think it's ensuring, and again, you can't just, for me, a misconception is build a building, run your M&E throughout, and then think about fire stopping. It's a big misconception. You can't turn up at that point and achieve compliance. So I think a big misconception is, yeah, fireback isn't magic. There is limits, there is rules we have to follow. So it goes back to, and again, I'll always bang the drum for it, it is early engagement. You can get these misconceptions of, no, it can't be achieved with fireback. And again, with not everything is tested. And I think it's difficult then because building control in some projects have had a stance, we'll only accept tested details, which, unfortunately in some scenarios, there isn't a tested detail. There just isn't. Now, whether you want to pay for it to go into the furnace and test it and wait for the report, you're going to be waiting a while and it's going to be an expensive process. So I think the understanding needs to be, again, the reason they're engineers is because they have the qualifications to make these judgments and they need to be trusted and, adhere to. It's the same way I always revert back to it. An engineer's judgment will, if you've got a 20-metre corridor, a 20-metre plasterboard wall's never been put in a furnace.
No.
It never has. It's an assumption from some engineer that knows his correct qualifications and it's accepted. A 300 by 300 friction fit on a 20-metre wall, and that's how much scrutiny is on it for us. So I think that needs to be an understanding or a bridge between somewhere where an engineer's judgment has to be accepted. That it can't be a stance of, we only accept tested details because, as you know, it's impossible, isn't it?
I think it's so critical what you say, though. There is that scope of application. The test standards and the classification standard and everything have been written the way they have for a reason. I think it's absolutely true what you say, and it's refreshing to hear that it is important to make sure it is someone who's qualified, it is someone who actually knows what they're doing. Because going back to those misconceptions, I think there has been a big misconception in terms of engineer judgments, who can produce them.
As installers, I'd class nowadays installers, it's not on engineering. We're working with millimetre tolerances, not a 10 or 20 mil here or 30 mil, it'll be okay. We're working with millimetres, it's 10 mil. If it's over 10 mil, it's not compliant. If it's under 10 mil, it's not compliant. So, I'd say we are engineering at the minute for installers. I think, and it really needs to be taken as serious as that.
Yeah,
and accepted as a trade.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's so true. In terms of anyone looking to get into the industry, any new contractors, anything like that, is there any sort of particular advice you'd give to them?
TBL, I've got it under control. No, no. Yeah, I think what we spoke about, I think it's a great industry to be in. I think you need to have a passion for what you're doing, to understand you are there to save lives. I think if you are, just be strong on site. It's very easy to be swayed by a site agent that we've got timescales and we need ceiling grids up, let's get it done. Again, if it's not compliant, stick with your guns because it's your reputation. You have to go home and sleep at night and know if you've cut that corner, have you endangered somebody's life, have you endangered that building. So I think be confident and be strong and to be able to say no.
So we've talked a lot, Joe, about collaboration, coordination between all sorts of different sort of organisations or trades or parties. In terms of Quelfire as a fire stopping manufacturer, how do we support you, and is there anything we could be doing more to support you on your projects?
Well, I think generally, your website is absolutely second to none, and I think that really, really helps because how quick we can identify detail and populate schedules with tested details without having to firstly get in contact with you guys is amazing. So, hats off to whoever is responsible for that because it really does, honestly, it's second to none. I think with Quelfire as well, the response time, you guys get back so quick and, you've been so good. If you've got contractors, as much as, it's your product, as much as I know about fire protection itself, when I've had a few calls, I think Chloe stepped in on a couple of teams calls with me to give the backing to understand, this is what from Quelfire's stance. And I think that puts a lot of people at ease. So to know you have that availability and to support us as a third-party installer to know we've got the backing of a manufacturer that will come into meetings and back up. Not that we've got anything to hide, or but sometimes it's just that reassurance from a manufacturer to know it's not us designing this. I'm not making this up. This is it's from the horse's mouth. It comes, here you go. So I think it's massive. You guys again, and then just assisting and advising solutions that if it can't be achieved, that, well, have you thought about this? I think a big one was a sleeve gas pipe, and Chloe was outstanding, and basically we talked this through it with the M&E contractor, with the main contractor, to find a solution that worked for everybody and ensure compliance. So yes, so good. So I think, I'll just say, if you need help, get in touch.
Brilliant. No, appreciate that, Joe. That's absolutely excellent.
No worries.
Appreciate working with you guys at TBL, and thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
So thank you for watching. This has been another episode of Meet the Contractor. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, following us on LinkedIn to make sure that you don't miss any more updates. More episodes will be coming, so stay tuned for more content.